going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for clicking on this video. As you can tell by the title, this is part 2 of a video I did a while back where I kind of just gave my thoughts on 20 different albums in one video. This video has been highly requested since I did that first one, so here I am back again. I'm going to talk about 20 more albums that you guys have commented on the previous video that you wanted me to also give my opinion on. I'm going to try my best to go as fast as I possibly can through these because I don't want this video to be too long, and please take these opinions with a grain of salt. These are quick opinions here. All I'm going to be doing is telling you guys my favorite and least favorite songs from each album, as well as my opinion on the underrated and overrated songs. So without further ado, I'm just going to jump right into the very first album. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Very first album is the highly requested Regional at Best by 21 Pilots. This record is no longer in print. It's so fucking hard to find. It's not even on Spotify. The only way people can really listen to it is on YouTube and stuff from people that actually uploaded the songs. But this album pretty much includes a lot of the songs that were also on Vessel, so I'm just going to disregard those ones that are included on the other albums. But my favorite is definitely Lovely. I think it's a very underrated song as well. Not a lot of people know it. I feel like a lot of casual fans of 21 Pilots don't even know about this whole album, but this song is just super uplifting, very enjoyable, and always puts a smile on my face. My least favorite, honestly, I don't really have a least favorite. I could just jam to this album whenever because all of the songs are honestly really good in my opinion. And then for underrated, I feel like Be Concerned is really underrated. I actually really like that one. Another one I think is underrated is definitely Anthema. For people that don't know like any other albums by 21 Pilots besides the two, Vessel and Blurry Face, definitely check out those underrated songs. And then for overrated, honestly, I just have to go with Car Radio because it does appear on this album and it's like their most well-known song that isn't on Blurry Face. So I have to give it to that one, even though that is one of their best songs. Next up is From Under the Cork Tree by Fall Out Boy. My favorite song from this one is definitely A Little Less 16 Candles, a little more Touch Me, but I also really love I've Got a Dark Alley and of course XO. There's no possible way I can pick a least favorite song on this album. I just love every single thing on this record. It's almost perfect to me. And then when it comes to underrated, I feel like XO is super underrated. A lot of people don't even know that song, but it's super catchy. It's definitely become one of my favorites over the years. Another one would definitely be I've Got a Dark Alley. That's another one of my favorites. Dude, this one is just so emotional. It breaks my heart to listen to it, but it's super relatable. Overrated is obvious here. Sugar We're Going Down or Dance Dance, even though they're fucking amazing songs. Those are like iconic songs in their career and in pop punk and just music in general. But those ones obviously have to be the ones that are pretty much overexposed, I'd say. But not in a bad way. They're really good songs. Next up is the Diamond Dreams EP by Issues. You guys know how much I'm obsessed with this. It's pretty much entirely acoustic or else reimagined versions of their older songs. And my favorite is probably Never Lose Your Flames featuring Neck Deep. Just an awesome rendition. They changed up some of the lyrics. It just sounds really cool and raw. And then I also really like Hooligans because that one's just really smooth and easy to listen to. Least favorite is an easy one, Diamond Dreams, just mainly like, instrumental, kind of boring. I always skip that one if I'm gonna skip anything. And then overrated, honestly, I don't think there's any overrated songs on this because not a lot of people listen to this. When it comes to Issues, people aren't just running to buy this album and play this album everywhere. It doesn't really get that much exposure, so I don't really think there's anything that can be considered overrated. Holy Ghost by Modern Baseball. This was one of my favorite albums of 2016, as you guys know if you saw my favorite albums of the year list. But my favorites on this one are Note to Self and Just Another Face, but there's some other ones that I really like on there too. Least favorites, honestly, probably What If. I don't really like that one as much. It's not a bad song, but it's just not one of the ones that I find myself coming back to as often. Underrated, definitely Mass, but also Hiding. I feel like those two are really good. And then overrated, honestly, like Modern Baseball aren't super huge. Like obviously in their scene they're very well known, but when it comes to like the entire music world and like mainstream shit, they're not really that big. So I would, I don't really think I can really say anything is necessarily overrated, but I guess I'll give it to Wedding Singer because it was, I think, one of the first singles and it is pretty popular. Fully Adieu is my favorite Fall Out Boy album. If you guys did not know, it's true. And my favorite songs from that are Water Buffaloes, Tiffany Blues, and Whams. Least favorite would be America's Sweethearts. I just have heard it way too many times and I don't think it's that good. Underrated, everything that basically isn't a single on this record is really underrated in my opinion. This entire album is overlooked, I feel like, as a whole. But Copies for Closers is amazing, and so is The Ship Gold Standard. I love those songs a lot. And then overrated, like I said, I'd say probably America's Sweethearts, but also primarily I Don't Care. Next we have Under Soil and Dirt by The Story So Far, a pop punk band. This is definitely my favorite record by this band, and also I think they're best. My favorite songs on this one are Quicksand, Placeholder, Rome, and Daughters. And then my least favorite is probably Closure. It's not one of those songs that I'm dying to go listen to. Underrated, I feel like Rally Cap is really good. I love that song. I think it's definitely underrated. And so is Swords and Pens. That's another really good one. Overrated, I don't know. Probably High Regard or Quicksand, even though I really like those ones, but those are probably the most popular. Ooh, someone requested a Beatles album. Thank you for that. That's awesome. I love the Beatles. Abbey Road, Gold and Silver is also like in my top 5 favorite Beatles songs. Least favorite, probably The Sun King. I just never listened to that one. It's just kind of not really my thing. And then underrated, definitely Oh Darling. Paul McCartney's vocals in that one are fantastic. And then for overrated, I'd probably give it to Come Together, because that's like one of the ones that's played on the radio so consistently and just gets really monotonous over time. I don't think it's a bad song, but when it comes to this album, it's definitely overrated. Next, we have Soul Punk by Patrick Stump. I love this album. I really hope to get it on vinyl soon. My favorites on that one are definitely Alley and Run Dry. Very fun songs. Least favorite is probably Dance Miserable. I just don't like the way he kind of sings and uses his voice in that one. It's not really my thing. Underrated is definitely The Eye and Lie. I feel like that one is so criminally underrated. Well, so is this whole album, honestly. But that's one of the ones that I never really hear people talk about. I just find it really emotional, and I love the way Patrick sings in this one. And then obviously overrated is This City. That one is like the biggest single, and it's just very repetitive. I don't think it's that complex, but it makes sense why it was kind of like a bigger one for the radio and whatnot. Sempiternal by Bring Me the Horizon is definitely their best album in my opinion. If you ask me, that's by far my favorite by them. My favorite songs on this one are definitely The House of Wolves, Empire, Let Them Sing, and Shadow Moses. Least favorite, probably Seen It All Before. I just always find myself skipping over that one for some reason. Underrated is probably The Crooked Young. I just really love that one. I think it's a really powerful song that kind of gets overlooked. And then for overrated, probably Sleepwalking or Shadow Moses, even though those are both really incredible songs. You guys have been requesting the Black Parade forever, so here we go. My favorite songs from this one are definitely The Sharpest Lives and Famous Last Words. Least favorite has to go to Blood. I just don't really love that one. Obviously, it was kind of a hidden track anyways. It's not one that I'm just gonna listen to. And then underrated, I feel like The Sharpest Lives is really underrated. That's one of the ones that I gravitated to originally when I heard this album. I just really liked it. I didn't realize that it was that underrated as it is. That's a fantastic song. And then overrated, obviously Teenagers or Welcome to the Black Parade. Next is The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me by Brand New. This is one of my favorite albums of all fucking time. Favorite song on this one is Sowing Season or De Gausser, and then least favorite, probably Untitled, just because it's all kind of instrumental, kind of flatline. Not much going on there, kind of like a gap in the album to kind of tone things down for a little bit. Underrated, definitely Handcuffs or Not the Sun. Those are both really great songs. And then overrated, definitely Jesus Christ. That's a really well-known song by them. It's not a bad song, like it's such a good song, but it is like one of the more overexposed tracks by them. Like people that don't know this band's discography are gonna say like, oh, that's their favorite song or whatever. Like, of course it is. Next up is All Time Low's raw pop punk EP, Put Up or Shut Up. My favorites on this one are definitely Coffee Shop Soundtrack and The Girl's a Straight Up Hustler. Those two songs are just ace to me. Least favorite's probably Running from Lions. I just don't really like that one that much. It's gonna be one of the ones that I tend to skip. Underrated is probably Breakout, Breakout. That one's actually a lot of fun to listen to. It did kind of grow on me over the years. And then overrated, definitely Jay-Z Ray or Coffee Shop, even though I love Coffee Shop. Next we have Double Dare by Waterparks. I love this album, definitely one of the best of 2016. My favorite songs from that one are Royal, Little Violence, which is so aggressive and awesome, and then 21 Questions, which is more of an acoustic one that's kind of toned down, but also very relatable. Least favorites are definitely Powerless and I'll Always Be Around. They just don't really hit me as hard, and they just kind of get monotonous, so I'm not really a big fan of those songs. And then underrated, the entire album is underrated. This band are still in the process of kind of getting known, so I really hope they blow up this year. Pretty much every song on here is underrated, I'd say. Overrated, there's none, obviously. Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die. This has honestly become one of my favorite Panic records over the years. I honestly did not love it when I first heard it, but as the years go by, I find myself coming back to more and more of these songs. It's just grown on me so much. And I can easily say that my favorite song on this one is Colorful. I just think that's super underrated as well. Very, very good song. I love the lyrics on that one. Least favorite, Miss Jackson. So sick of that song. I don't think it's that good at all. I remember hearing that for the very first time being like, still feel the same. For underrated, like I said, colorful, but also Far Too Young to Die. That one is very underrated, but it's a really great sounding song. Just like musically and everything, it just sounds very soothing and atmospheric. It's a great track. And my answer for overrated is obvious, Miss Jackson. You guys know that Common Courtesy is my favorite A Day to Remember record by far. My favorite songs on this one are Sometimes You're the Hammer, Sometimes You're the Nail, Violence, and Life Lessons Learned the Hard Way. I honestly don't have a least favorite on this album because I think it's just perfect. Underrated, probably same book but never the same page. I love how that one flows. And then Life Lessons Learned the Hard Way is like a really quick but really heavy A Day to Remember song that just hits me so fucking hard. I love it. And then for overrated, probably Right Back at It Again. They tend to play that one live a lot, and it is a fun pop punk leaning song, but I feel like it just isn't that great when compared to a lot of the other, tracks on this one. Next record is Youth by Citizen. I'm a huge Citizen fan. I love this record. I think it's their best, and they have so many great songs on here. It just flows so well. Honestly, there isn't a bad song on here in my opinion. My favorites are definitely The Summer and How Does It Feel. How Does It Feel especially is very emotional for me and just kind of connects with me in a certain way. I have no least favorite, and underrated is definitely Your Head Got Misplaced. It's more fun to listen to, I feel like, a little bit more upbeat. And then overrated is definitely gonna have to go to fucking The Night I Drove Alone. That one is just so, like, known in the scene. I feel like if people don't know any other Citizen songs, they know this one at least, and that just kind of annoys me because it is a good song. I like it, but I feel like it's just not one of their best because it is kind of just repetitive and then slow. It's poetic, don't get me wrong, but I feel like there's so many other songs out there that are better. Next up, we have The Greatest Generation by The Wonder Years. Now, this album is so incredible. Like, it's honestly up there with my favorites. This one and their last one are my favorites for me. A lot of these lyrics are super relatable to me, and that's why I connect with it. My favorites are There, Cul-de-sac, and I Just Want to Sell at My Funeral, but also really love Passing Through a Screen Door. Least favorite is definitely The Whiny Madeline. I just don't really like how that one flows. It just kind of gets annoying to me, no offense. For underrated, I feel like Cul-de-sac could be considered underrated maybe. And then for overrated, definitely Passing Through a Screen Door. That's like a pretty well-known song by them, even though it is really good in my opinion. Misadventures was so worth the long wait. This was one of the greatest albums that came out in 2016. My favorite songs from this one are definitely Circles, Phantom Power, and Ludicrous Speeds, Today I Saw the Whole World, and of course Floral and Fading. I have so many favorites for that one. Least favorite's definitely Sambuca. I like never come back to that one. It's just kind of one of the ones that feels like a filler track to me. And then underrated, definitely Gold Medal Ribbon and Bedless. Those two initially I was not connecting with, but as time went on, I was like, wow, these are actually really good songs. And then for overrated, I'm probably gonna give it to The Divine Zero just because that one has been around for a long time and it's like one of the bigger singles. I don't think it's that great when compared to the rest of the album, so that's kind of why I'm giving it that title here. Second to last, we have Warning by Green Day. This is one of my favorite albums by them, probably my third favorite or fourth favorite, I can't pick. But I just love the overall sound in this one. It kind of has more folky songs with acoustic guitars, just kind of different sounding from their older stuff, but also different from their newer stuff. I just feel like this album really sticks out in their discography because of how different it is. My favorite songs from this one are definitely Minority, super catchy one, Castaway, and Hold On. Least favorite is probably Misery just because it's kind of different and weird sounding. I don't really tend to listen to that one as much. And then underrated is definitely Macy's Day Parade. I feel like even though this one, I think it had a music video, and I think it was actually a single, but I don't really hear too many fans talking about this one. And I honestly feel like it is a really good song. I listened to it on Thanksgiving, of course. And then overrated, probably just Warning, the title track that is pretty popular. Last but not least, we have Infinity on High, my bad. I'm funny right now, okay. So Infinity on High has become honestly one of my favorite albums from Fall Out Boy. Like, I honestly cannot pick now like the order of my favorites by them, but this one is just full of amazing songs, especially the bonus tracks, but I can't count those in this. So my favorite is definitely Thriller. That's my favorite Fall Out Boy song of all time. Least favorite has to go to This Ain't a Scene. I just find that one so annoying over time. I don't really like the way Patrick sounds in this one. It just isn't that enjoyable to me. me, especially because it is overplayed. And then for underrated, I'm going to give it to Carpal Tunnel of Love and Fame is Less Than Infamy. Two really great songs, especially Carpal Tunnel. That's one of my favorites for sure because it has like screaming in it. It's just very different, very catchy chorus that a lot of people don't even know about. And then for overrated, I'm going to give it to Thanks for the Memories because this one is like one of their biggest singles and most well-known songs that I don't really love anymore, and I feel like they have a lot of better songs in their discography that shine above songs like that. Alright guys, so those were my thoughts on 20 more albums that you guys requested for me to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you did. Should I do a part 3 on this? Probably not for a while, but I'm thinking about maybe doing this with like certain just bands or perhaps songs or something like that. So maybe you guys could send me bands or, you know, some other kind of musical thing, and I'll just kind of go through and not react, but just kind of give my thoughts really quickly on a certain thing. So make sure to leave a comment down below if you guys do want me to do that, and thanks so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time.